everyone. Our video talk about money, banking and central bank. Part 1, I will talk about money. Part 2, Mr. Han talk about banking. And part 3, Mr. Hill talk about central bank. Now, I will talk about money. Money are the earliest and most significant invention of civilization is essential to the development of change. Without it, there is only better. A relationship between two people is of whom have something with the other ones. Money, in and of itself, is nothing. It can be a shell, a metal coin, or a piece of paper with a historic image on it. But the value that people place on it had nothing to do with the physical value of the money. Money derives its value by being a medium of exchange, a unit of measurement and storehouse of wealth. Everyone uses money well unwanted, work for it and think about it. Why the creation and growth of money seems somewhat intangible. Money is the way we get the thing we need and desire. Money is valuable mainly because everyone knows everyone else will accept it as a form of payment. So let's take a look at well it has been, how it evolved, and how it is used today. Let's learn a little bit about just how a plan bank works. So let's say that I'm an entrepreneur and I see a problem out there in the world. You have of the hardworking people, whatever they do, doctors, lawyers, engineers, construction workers, whatever they might do, they work. They provide service to each other and they saving, right? So right now, they are just whatever. They burying it in the business and they just collecting that, right? That money is doing nothing. The project, I say, well, if I only have some way of convincing someone this car now, it would be hugely beneficial and it will create well or irrigation districts. But how do I do that? Well, if I have gone or if I had the little coin, I could give the coin to these people. They could see the irrigation ditch. Then I could share people the service of using money. Or maybe I will charge people access to water. And then I could essentially generate a return. But how do I do that? Well, what if I could borrow some of the people, right?
Hello everyone, my name is Han. I'm going to talk about banking. The people have their unit of goods and services for a long time. If I could borrow some damn money and use it to help people, that will essentially do a good and service or do the new project. Then I'll generate 10 wealth and then I could share it with the people, maybe in the form of some type of interest. Well, it's very hard in the Bitcoin for the people to efficiently the project, and maybe the project they don't require just part of the service of 1 person. They require the service of 1,000 people because it's a long project. It also has for the people to experience who had a good project. It has for the people to experience who has serving. In fact, if I have savings, if I were very a bunch of stuff in my backyard or in my message, I don't want to advertise. Just going too much people come and rob me. So I'm a third entrepreneur and I see an opportunity for business and I call that business a bank. And so what is a bank going to do? Let's just talk about it from a standpoint. How am I going to start my business? I'm actually one of them entrepreneurs. Let's say I have some savings, just too much it simple so I don't have to do into the pool. Let's say I have $1,000,000 gold coin of savings. Let's say it's $1,000,000. Let me draw my balance sheet. And balance sheet, as you see, they were useful even in remote culture. So that my balance sheet, let's say my initial balance sheet is I fund in the $1,000,000 of my gold coin. I'll say $1,000,000 just because we are used to that. You could say a gold coin is worth $1, so it's $1,000,000 gold coin. We know that not true anymore, and I use that essentially to build this big structure of solid tone that looks really safe and really secure. So I use it essentially just to build a big bowl, right? So this is my equity, right? And I use it to build a bowl, a big fancy looking building. So I'll actually draw a building. It's looking like an old Greek and Roman temple. So I build this nice looking building that people would comfortable keeping your money in, and that look actually be safe and safekeeping. And I tell everyone, look, I had this nice building. Instead of having your money secured in your backyard or your bed, why don't you put your savings in this building, and if you ever need it, you can come and get it. And on top of that, I'm going to pay you to keep your money with me. So everyone put their savings with me, and let's say that it's $10,000,000 of savings in my village. I have a fairly wealthy village, so that $10,000,000 of deposit, it is a liability for me, right? Why it is a liability? Because I owe that to other people. They are giving it to me, said Kitchen. So this is my liability. This is my equity. If it were not just me, if there were 10 shareholders, it should our would have 1/10 for it. But this is a sole proprietorship, so this is my equity. This is my building.
Finally, I will talk about central bank. In earlier time, many commercial banks issued their own of banknotes. Since about 100 years, the issuance of banknotes have been the monopoly of Republic Bank, which abolished National Bank or Central Bank for this reason. In the Eurozone, the National Bank of the Eurozone transformed the Euro system and had a common central bank called European Central Bank. Central Bank bring banknotes, put them into circulation, and also had the right for into withdraw the banknotes and issue them. Central Bank also supply side of money. Central Bank must maintain certain minimum deposit within the Central Bank of the country in which they operate. Commercial banks also had the opportunity to borrow money from the Central Bank in exceptional situations. Central Bank buy government bonds and help country finance their sovereign debt less eventually. In many countries, Central Bank are involved in the supervision of commercial banks.